Hello there, Christopher. How are you today?
I'm bald and fantastic. How are you,
I'm
Allison?
a little bit troubled about my hair today. I was trying to make it look good, but it wasn't working. So it's okay. You're bald and I'm wild. Okay? Works.
I've forgotten what it's like to take care of head hair. Is it a process? I don't remember.
I actually don't usually have a lot of problems with it, except for today was like an issue. I usually would, yeah, it's not that hard for me usually. Today, not so much. But you know what? I have a story to tell because we're talking about
You got a story?
relationships. I have a story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to tell a story because I want it to segue into the concept of relationships. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody, you all remember that our big thing right now is that we are here with probably many intentions, but the primary intention is that we want to begin to bring clarity and harmony. And just like we both want to crush mediocrity, we want to crush mediocrity in relationships. Relationships,
100%.
right? Relationships are one of the most, I would say, hot topics, the most influential in all areas of life. So think about if you're in a relationship, right, Christopher? It doesn't matter, even, work relationship, parental situation, a family situation, one of your kids, your parents, and especially a significant other. If there is not harmony, if there is conflict, think about how it affects the rest of your day and your month, your year. All you need is one. I used to always say this is bad.
Your life.
It ruins your entire freaking life if you're not interacting well with a person that you sleep next to. I mean, think about it. Yeah. It's bad.
And
I used to say this joke. It's not really that good, but like, when you're going to go out with other couples or something, I used to say it only takes one person to ruin a couple. But anyhow, this is the thing. This is the story. Let me tell you this. So I have this friend who has a mom who, when she was growing up, the mom was very critical. The mom was an alcoholic. The mom was probably narcissistic and was consistently criticizing this woman. This woman is now, a grown-ass woman. She has, and she has consistently been the parentified child who takes care of her mother. Her mom now lost her husband or whatever. She's an elderly woman and she moved her in the house. Biggest mistake ever. But anyhow, so she moved her in the house. So what happened was, this is what I want you to hear, is that the mom complains about everything. This daughter cooks for her. She does all these things for her. And this woman, who's my friend, is a high-powered businesswoman who owns a business. She's a great woman. And she basically, this mom is like kind of ruining her life. So anyhow, so the mom said to her, hey, you know what? You never have any good snacks in the house. There's just nothing ever good to eat. So my friend is just hurt, pissed off. She's like, well, mom, you know what? Like, I'm busy and you know what? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm on a diet and I'm trying to lose weight and blah, blah, blah. And the mom's like, all right, well, maybe I'll just go on the diet with you since there's nothing here. That guilt thing. Now, I just want you guys to hear the elements. What I'm asking you to do is, I'm telling this story, hear the elements in the story. This is what we do as therapists. I zoom out and I listen to the story and I listen to the things that are illuminated. You can hear the martyrdom. You can hear the guilt. You can hear the daughter's reaction. The reason that I'm stating this entire story is because I want everybody who's listening to consider your relationships and the role you're playing in them. So now the daughter becomes the guilty one who is now angry, defensive. The mother is the martyr who's the victim, right? So now the mother is, now if you're in any relationship with a victim, you have two choices. If they stay a victim and you stay with them, you have two choices. Are you okay, Christopher?
Oh,
You doing all right over there? Okay.
This is ringing
Hanging.
very, very, very close. I'm like listening to this story and I'm like, oh man, I know these circumstances so well.
Me too. Okay, so wait to hear. So let me like write it out. And then you guys, whoever's listening, your life will change if you do this. Okay, so here we go. So now the daughter is guilty. When we're guilty, we're angry, whether we know it or not. Defensive, we're either angry at ourselves or angry at the other person. When the person's a victim, you have two choices. You are either a hero or you're the perpetrator. You don't have another choice if you're with a victim. So now what my friend, let's call her Belle. what Belle has to do is she either has to be her mother's hero or she has to be the perpetrator. So now what she does is, all pissed off, goes to the store and buys like 100 shitty snacks that she doesn't want to eat. Her kids don't eat. They don't eat crappy food. She buys them all, throws them on the table and goes, here's your snacks. Now the mother tells her, no, I wanted to go on a diet with you. So now my friend is telling me how pissed off she is. You know what? Exactly. I wanted to be on a diet, blah, blah, blah. My mother made me. I'm like, your mother made you do nothing. So this is the whole point. So then what I said to her is, hey, imagine it this way. Your mom says, you know what? You don't have any good snacks in the house. And I said, just go with me. Suppose you just said, yeah, you know, you're right. I feel so proud about that. And my friend's like, oh, I could do that. I'm like, yeah. So then I'm like, and you know, if she says that, you know, you don't have any good snacks, or yeah, you know, I tend to not really get those snacks. So if her mother said, you're so selfish, she could say, you know, I do have a tendency at times to be selfish. So now what do? That's a conversation that ends. If you're okay with the criticism, because we all have our stuff and it doesn't really matter if we're wrong, we know she's not wrong with the snacks, clearly. But we have a system, and that's what I want to talk about in relationships. We have a system. And this is family systems theory. And it's that everyone takes a role. So now we have a victim who's the mother, and then we have the scapegoat who's the daughter, right? Who then interestingly becomes the martyr and victim of her mother by buying the snacks. Now her mother's controlling her, which she's not. She also sneaks into her house at night. She's a grown woman. She sneaks into her house at night because her mother doesn't know she has a boyfriend. Okay. Listen, I'm not making fun of her. She's the best person on earth. We want to stop this. So Christopher, how does this apply? Well, to what do you think? I mean, relationships for sure, right?
Yeah.
But it's about now, to me, I'm responsible only for the 3 feet around me. Sure. I own my shit sometimes. And then when I don't, and I feel defensive, I've left the state of being I want to live in. Yes, that's in my book. I have to start plugging my book. Okay, Christopher, let's hear some of your fire. Go.
From the male's perspective, assuming this situation was in a relationship.
Well, we could do it that way. I'm shutting this off. We could do it that way, or
what would you suggest?
Do it whatever you relate to.
I think, you know, so my standpoint's going to be from a male that was raised that way. That's how I was raised.
I was raised that way too.
And, you know, along my journey of healing, I found many things that needed to be healed. Fundamentally, I didn't have boundaries, right? And I had to start to learn boundaries and how to set them to protect me and like my energy and my time and my relationships and so on and so forth. So in this situation with the mother and the daughter, it gets super slippery when the people are older. I don't know how old's the mother in this case, 70, 80 years old?
She's, yeah, like, oh, I think she's over 80. I think. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
So she has
She's at least
8
70.
decades. She has 7 to 8 decades of subconscious programming to manipulate through guilt, codependency, victim mentality. Sounds like gaslighting and a bit
100%.
narcissistic. 8 decades of that. So will that person change? Probably
But is that
not.
the goal? This is my question.
No.
Is that the goal?
That's not the goal. No,
Nope.
it's not the goal.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
And that's why I started with, through my healing journey, trying to heal anger, right? Which we've talked about a little bit. I knew I had to heal because my PTSD was ridiculous coming out of war. And my triggers would result in short fused anger. That's the whole nother story. But the point is, I found all sorts of other things on the journey. And what we're talking about here is boundaries. And that's where my mind went when I heard this story. I was like, wow, if this individual, or maybe myself, if this was a relationship and I was dealing with a woman that had these types of situations, I would address it first and foremost, because I understand human psychology. I mean, animal psychology fundamentally, but humans have a language and they articulate, like positive reinforcement psychology with dogs, animals, humans. It's all the same. Do good, you get this. But what I'm getting at is, I would personally address it myself, because I've healed through that sort of things and understood my lack of boundaries, almost attracted those situations in because I was so used to dealing with them, right? Yeah. And that's like almost like a high level look at things. It's like, all right, where am I leaking energy here that's drawing these types of situations in?
Yep.
But let's focus on like the entry level, which is boundaries within ourselves. And kind of like on the last time we spoke, I talked about a girl I was dating and I had to lay the boundaries down immediately. In this case, if it was a partner and they were using that type of manipulation through guilt, which is very common, very, very common, I would address it and just kind of call it out. But the thing about calling people out is it's a super slippery slope. And that character type that we're talking about typically is an eggshell ego, typically. 100%. Right?
They don't take ownership.
So when you deal with an eggshell ego, you have to be super Dale Carnegie and super tactful. If anyone hasn't read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, okay,
it's an incredible book.
My copy, actually, it's right here. I'm rereading it for the 12th time. I mean,
love
it's
that book. Mm-hmm.
There's not even a back. Like it's,
yeah, I get it.
He teaches how to tell people they're wrong without telling them they're wrong.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And when you have a partner, you can't tell them they're wrong and expect to have like a decent conversation. And really in life, in any relationship, if you tell someone they're wrong, they're immediately going to be wounded and defend and deflect and point fingers. So kind of keeping the concentration on this topic, okay? Addressing the situation and just being super cool about it. And the way that I like to work with people is I always redirect and I always put the ball back in their court and ask them, if I came to you and I told you that I really didn't like what you were doing and I would feel much better if you didn't do it, and I would reward you through, I don't know, gifts or sexual pleasure or something along those lines. And the thing that I'm talking about is not a positive thing for the relationship. And it's just singular for me because I'm being selfish fundamentally. Right. That is the manipulation negatively. And I'm trying to articulate this clearly because I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. But if I was using the redirection of putting it back in their court and asking them selfishly for something for me, which is generally speaking what we're talking about in the case of the mother and the daughter. But let's push that aside and let's step into what I'd recommend. Calling someone out, asking them, how would it make you feel if I did this situation to you? And it might just spark a question mark. And they'd be like, well, what do you mean? And then you'd explain to them, well, I see it this way, or actually, I hear you. You're saying it this way. I understand your perspective and your feelings. Could I explain to you how I feel? And then you explain it. And when they question you, put it back into their court. Well, what do you think? Well, how do you feel? And what that does is it allows you to understand their mindset and their thoughts and learn through the situation. And I know I might sound a little aloof in my explaining, but fundamentally what I'm saying is if I were going to deal with these situations, I redirect it and put it back into their court to learn their justification.
You know what it is?
Why?
You don't sound aloof.
Okay.
Good. You don't. You're describing a general experience, which there isn't a specific in it. That's maybe what you're saying is aloof, but it's just more generalized, right?
And the key about it is to whatever it is, they committed a crime, they're manipulating you, they're gaslighting you, they're codependent, they're victim, they're entitled, whatever the thing is, getting to the root of it and understanding why is more important in a relationship than anything, right? Mm-hmm. For instance, I caught you lying to me about the surprise party for my birthday.
I honestly, when you just said that, I honestly thought you were talking to me. I was like, oh,
right.
That's my guilt. Oh, shit. I was like, wait, did I do something? I lied? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And they'll be like, well, it's a white lie. I love you. And I just really wanted to do something special for you. I know it's a lie. I shouldn't have done it. I won't do it again.
Wait, somebody lied understanding to you about the justification as a surprise? Or are you making that up?
Last year.
All right. That's a whole other podcast because I'm going to tear you down with that one.
Please tear me down. Please.
All right.
But the point that I'm getting at is the justification. Why are they doing it? Like why that's a bad example, but
yeah.
Why is the person acting that way? And when you redirect constantly and put it back into their court, you learn what their thought process, and that in a relationship, their thought process is fundamentally what's either going to work for the relationship or it's not necessarily that action at the moment. Okay. Because maybe they own it. Right. And they're like, you know what? I'd like to change this. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to change it. Then you watch their action. Are they educating themselves on how to do it? Are they reading? Are they working with a mentor? Are they paying for a clinician? Are they taking courses? What are they doing? Or are they just saying that they're going to change this manipulation and gaslighting and narcissism and entitlement and victim mentality and not actually do it? That's the key to watch, in my opinion.
Okay. There's so much to say here. I was actually taking notes because I have so many, because I feel like when we look at this situation, there's different levels of the situation. So if somebody's somebody's a full-blown narcissist, right? Somebody who is really, really not well, there is so much there. It is not even, I never want to say not possible, because I don't agree with that, because I always believe that there's some ability for somebody to always change. People say about personality disorders, oh, they can never change. I don't believe that about anyone.
It's their choice.
Well, so the thing is that somehow with, let's say, narcissism, the main component is that people, they blame outward and they cannot see anything. They cannot take ownership of their own stuff. So now when you're trying, right. So what you're describing, so you like, I feel like a couple of things you're describing redirecting. To me, that's like kind of what our topic is. Where do I end and you begin? What, you know, where, like, basically whatever they're saying to you about the no snacks, or about you did this to me, or blah, 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 blah. The thing is what it sounds like you're saying is, I want to understand what you're upset about. I want to understand what's fueling whatever the behavior is, because the behavior is not the issue. It's it's the fuel of the behavior, right? Then, but I think if anybody ever is going to change ever, I'm going to plug my book, that the truth is the only way. If you don't know if you don't know what you're doing, you know, you need a wake-up call by Alison Lager. But anyhow, so I'm copying you because you do that. I never do that. My book's done, by the way, people. It's going to be launched.
Wait. I know. Hold on. What do I do that you're doing now?
You every now and then will be like, hey, you know, it's like in my book. I mean, it's genuine. I know you're not like trying to plug you. Maybe you are. I don't know. But like you will bring up your book. Like, wait, let me find mine. I have a copy somewhere. Yeah. Oh my God. Did it sound like applause?
No, you know, I don't want to interrupt you. You know what? I don't want to like interrupt your thought process, but you know what it is? Like,
what?
We've written on the topics and we're just referencing, well, I wrote about this in my book.
Yes.
That's all.
Exactly.
And the chances are it could really help whoever's listening.
Yes.
It's not like a shameless plug. It's just like, that's our mind. It's like, oh, I put this 2 years into writing this book and I explain it in this chapter, in this subsection of this theme. That's all it is. And
I have a chapter on I'm gonna do that with my I have mine somewhere, but I'm not prepared.
Where is it?
It's
okay.
It doesn't matter. But anyhow,
it's probably next to your schedule, which is missing.
Can I curse?
Yeah.
There's my shame attack. I hate my schedule. Okay, so look, here's my book. Because my book has me on it, so I could just pretend. I'm like this on the book. What am I? I have glasses on.
We helped you pick that picture.
Yes. Do you believe the disgusting picture that was on there before? It was so bad. Oh, come on.
Don't call yourself disgusting.
No, it's not that it was disgusting. I don't think I'm disgusting. When I look at that picture, do you know what I think, Christopher? I think it represents something that doesn't look like me. I have told the people here that work here, I'm like, do you think that looks like me? They're like, well, it has your essence. I'm like, does that look like my body? Now that sounds a little vain and weird.
Yeah, I remember the picture. Yeah.
It doesn't look like me. So it
looks distorted. Because we picked the one with you in your dress, right?
Yes. It looks like me. But anyhow. Okay. So
I get it.
This is my problem. I get sidetracked. Okay. So detaching. So you're describing this situation. So this is what I think. So you can have somebody in, let's say, in a relationship that is, let's say, really not able to take ownership of their own stuff. And that's a whole other animal. So basically, no matter what your attempts are to understand them, they may share reasons for what they're feeling, but the behavior is not going to end because they don't own their reason for it happening is you. So a lot of times when people are in denial, especially like alcoholics, if they're one of the only way, anybody who has any kind of a problem, the only way that they can maintain that problem is to not know that it's a problem. So not to be awakened to it. So then you have to be in denial. So usually what people do is they look for the next logical solution for that problem. And it's typically the person that they love that's in the bed with them, which is just ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So
closest proximity. Yeah.
Yes. So now I have a hard time landing planes, but I'm going to come back and just say the other aspect of this is, I think you were talking about redirecting them. So you're asking them about them, which is really cool because you want to understand them. And such an important quality. But then
you want to provide the space for them.
Yes. But you know what I'm thinking also? Then there's, in order to do that, what you're doing, Christopher, is you're owning your own space. You're not leaking into, you're not saying, oh, defending yourself, making it you, they're making it you, but that doesn't mean, so let's say I said something like, oh, I mean, I'm not going to insult you. I don't know, like whatever, like, I don't like your earbud, or something like, it's fine, your earbud. I like your earbud. But like, suppose I said, something about you. So the thing is that.
Which could trigger.
Yeah. So I feel like the biggest lesson I learned in my life that has contributed, I want to say probably the most to me being good at relationships. And I think I'm really good at relationships. I mean, what I mean by saying that is that I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to, be, so I think learning to do that without beating yourself up. I'm not 100% there because there's times I really beat myself up. If I'm mad at someone else, because I'm mad at myself, always.
Yeah.
So I was going to say I'm talking a lot, but I didn't want to. But the main thing here is, you are
talking well.
Thank you. See, we're here to encourage one another.
Yes.
The bottom line, what I'm really trying to get across is that I feel like there's two things happening. Chris is describing being separate from the other person enough to understand what's fueling their hurt or their actions. And kind of what I'm talking about on another level is also being willing to be wrong. So if they said, hey, I don't like that you don't have snacks. Can I let that person not like something? Can I let that person not be thrilled with the way I am about this or about that? Can I let Chris not be happy with the way I schedule the podcast? Can I let that happen? And without being so upset with myself that then, guilty and, any of those things, because that's like a cancer in a relationship. And if you look at what that girl did, she went to the store and she resolved the problem with anger. She gave the person what they seemingly wanted, which they didn't want. She
got manipulated.
Totally. But she got manipulated. But you think about it, she maintained probably a role that she's had forever, that here I am taking care of my mother since I'm a little girl who's never taken care of me. And now I'm in the position that I'm the victim, the martyr, taking care of this woman who's never given to me, and I'm pissed off about it. And I have no choice. Now, how many times in relationships do people think they have no choice? Whenever I hear that, the first thing I think, I don't care who you are. I don't care what relationship you're in. I don't care how many kids you have. I don't care anything. You are never trapped. Whoever needs to hear this, you are never.
No one's
trapped.
Holding a gun to your head.
Ever. Well, unless they are. And I don't mean to laugh about that. I mean, that's not funny. Right. But dysfunctional people take hostages. They don't get in relationships. So
chapter two of my book, Being Wrong Will Free You. Right. That's chapter 2. Right.
It's my life.
It's a high performance book. It's a high performance book. And if you want to perform high and you want to have good relationships, you got to be cool with being wrong.
Yep.
You got to be. And so I teach it. I teach a simple system. It's a 4-step system of being wrong and learning from your mistakes. Right?
Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hear it.
Fundamentally, right? This is what it comes down to. Okay. I was never wrong for probably 2.5 decades, maybe almost 3 decades of my life. And you said the best thing that you could do in a relationship, or the best thing that you do in a relationship, is what you said. I think if I had to explain that in my words, the best thing that I could do for a relationship is understand myself. Right.
Yes, true.
Because like when each partner understands themselves, they can separate and create that space that we're talking about. Simply be like, all right, this person's really pissed off right now because of this reason. So I'm just going to create this space. I'm going to step aside from it. I'm going to let them, belt it out and calm themselves down and likely talk themselves through it. But anyways, what I'm getting at is, when it comes to mistake making, okay, I really had to do some self-reflection and being like, why am I not growing in life right now? Like I have this business. I'm in my late 20s. It's been around for a few years. I'm starting to do well, but I capped out. I capped out at about 6 figures net at like 26, 27. And I was like, what's going on? And I realized I was making some mistakes in business and in my personal life, because that's when I started healing. And I started to become aware that I made a lot of mistakes. So as time went on, I began to realize that I looked for mistakes, right? I was like, I really want to find these mistakes in my life. We're talking years later. Mm-hmm. And I started developing this system, which is recognize the mistake. Right? Just recognize it. Okay, made a mistake. Step aside from the mistake. Okay, we got a mistake. Let's just step aside from it a second. Okay, so we recognize
detected.
Step aside from it.
Beep, beep, beep.
Where's the lesson? Where's the lesson? This is the one. I'm not flipping you off. This is the one that throws everyone. This is the hard step. Where's the lesson? And then the action plan to not make that mistake again. That's where people get hung up. But that's okay. Happens to me too, still, just periodically. And I teach that in my book, chapter 2, Being Wrong Will Free You. But relating it to relationships, I'll tell you, prior to this show, we talked about recruiting staff, and I shamelessly plugged my abilities as a business coach. I'm nasty at recruiting. Nasty. I mean, I got people that want to work for me for free. And
that's cool. That's the way that's what you want. Not them to work for free, but and that loyalty.
And guess what?
Tell me.
And that kind of loyalty, which is not only a core value in my company, gets them paid.
100%. Well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. One of my employees that's been with me like 8 years, is my first employee. I still have him. He gets like $150, $175 an hour as a dietitian.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't know you had a dietitian. It's cool.
It's my first company. Yes. It's an online nutrition company. But anyways, he runs the whole company. I do maybe 30 minutes a week of work in that company. Completely automated. Completely.
That.
You want to talk about passive residual income and empowering your employees to run a company? But that's a whole nother show.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
What I want to talk about is this is what I do in job interviews and dates. Right? I'll test the waters. We'll start talking like in the interview, or maybe, I had been out on a couple dates. I've done this in the past, right? And they say like you shouldn't go deep on dates like in the beginning, but fuck that. I'm not wasting anybody's time, and I'm not getting my time wasted.
I agree with you.
So I'll be like in an interview or on a date, I'll be like, so I got to tell you this story. And they'll be like, oh, what? Like, oh, I made this huge mistake today or yesterday or whatever the time frame is. And I'll talk through it, and I'll talk through the mistake, and that will cue the person to do one of a few things. Excuse me. Hopefully compliment the story and be like, oh yeah, I just made a mistake today too. And it was so freeing. And you're like, okay, you're hired, or okay, I'll ask you out on another date. Or they'll deflect and redirect to another subject. That's when you're like, nope, you're not getting another date and you're not getting hired, depending on the situation, right? Or they might be inquisitive and be like, well, can you explain to me what you mean about making mistakes? Now, then you have some potential, right? But the point is, when it comes to relationships, specifically romantic relationships, I can't date someone who can't be wrong.
Oh
I
God,
just
no.
can't.
That is like
won't do
poison
it.
forever. No one do it.
It's toxic.
Don't do it.
Toxic.
Run.
The last couple of people I dated, I cut them loose for that very reason. And
they
listen,
couldn't do it.
they're great people.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they're great people. They're great. One of them was even reading my book, trying to understand how to do it.
Yeah.
But when it came to the execution of it and the static in the relationship of dating, it wasn't worth the leak of energy or the aggravation, right? So the point is, for me, the point is, right, I'll test the waters early on in a relationship to see how they deal with mistakes, but it's equally as important in other areas of life. If you meet a new friend or you're trying to hire an employee, test the fucking waters, see how they react. If a client comes to me and they want to pay me in full for the year, which is approaching 6 figures, I'll ask them, talk to me about your mistakes. And they'll be like, I don't make mistakes. Won't work with them.
No, you can. No, I got it.
Won't do it. Just won't happen because I can't teach. Listen, just because you can throw, whatever, 80, 90, 100 grand at me doesn't mean that I'm going to be able to teach you that you're wrong. And that is such a hurdle to get over in life, let alone in business. It's not worth my time.
Can I just say one thing about that? Is it okay?
Please.
Are you on a train that you want to keep going on?
Train just parked. Alison's at the helm.
I just want to say something about that, because that's one of the things, like, because in what we do here, when someone does not, will not own that they're wrong, our goal has to shift, because we don't have that. Well, we do. I mean, I do, but they don't necessarily have the luxury not to work with someone who can't be wrong.
Sure.
So now it's like, okay, so how do you, then that's like the main goal. It might take you a year for them to, and it's almost like expanding their vision, but that, to me, that is not, a person you want in a relationship, an intimate relationship. Right?
No.
So, but let's say you're already, so there's people definitely listening on this that are already in relationships with people who do not take ownership, people who do not, cannot be wrong, who blame them for everything. And I know, because a lot of women that I have worked with, it is a big, big part of their life. Right? So think about, I love the concept, and I believe it. I know you believe this. I believe you do, is that when you stay aligned with yourself and your spirituality, anyone who is not aligned with that will flip out of your life like a centrifuge. It's just weird. It just, and that's the goal, to stay. And because even what I think, when somebody's a problem in our life, right?
Yep.
The tendency is there's so much energy and focus on that. And that's one of the biggest problems that people have with codependency. They don't take the focus. So your heart, Christopher, is to be selfless. But I think that part of being selfless is also being, not focusing on another, being grounded enough in yourself where you can be selfless. You understand what I mean by that?
And having boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. And think about it, Chris, when you're describing those girls that you dated, right, that were, it was hard for them, right, to be wrong or whatever that was, or accept mistakes. To me, what is that? I mean, that's really fear. And we've all been trained since we're very little. We live in a mistake averse society. That's in my book too. We live in a mistake averse society. We're taught that, like,
Yes.
not to show. I wasn't taught this when I was growing up, but we are taught not to show our cards, not to show our vulnerability, not to be wrong, to fight to the death in a relationship, to be right. Yes? Are you watching the clock?
Of course, but you're absolutely right.
You're getting tired.
No. You know what you just saw? I'm going to tell you what you just saw.
What? I see everything.
You just watched my blood sugar drop.
Oh, you're hungry?
So, I'm a big guy. Like,
I
have
eat.
to eat a lot of fucking food, right? You literally, you just keyed in on the sensation of my energy go from like here to just start dipping.
I saw it.
And I have my schedule around my eating throughout the day.
Yeah. You got to eat.
It's
okay. Listen, you know people.
But you know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. And we'll wrap this up. But the point that you're saying is that's how I was raised. If I was wrong, I got a fucking backhand. I got soap down my throat. I got a wooden spoon across my ass. I got slaps. One time I got a belt and a switch off the tree by my father. So I was trained. Being wrong, negative reinforcement. You get beaten. And along the journey of healing and self-awareness, which I teach in my book.
I'm gonna get my book. We could just keep doing that and the thing. Yeah. All right. Wait, say the name of your book. Yourself. Dominate Your Day.
Dominate Your Day, a high performer's guide to winning at life.
By Christopher Warren. Right? Yeah. CW.
By CW.
Yeah.
But the point is, when you're raised that way, it's natural. It's your subconscious programming. Yep. That's what you think is right. But in reality, what a lot of us don't know is our parents didn't know how to parent us.
Yep.
But you have to be aware of that and not tell your parents that. And it's your responsibility
100%.
to change yourself. And it's your responsibility to be healthy in a relationship. It is not your partner's responsibility.
100%. And you know what? We are wrapping, but we're going to segue. What I want to say is our next call or whatever we're doing here, our next show, I think should be on this family of origin stuff, because that foundational thing that is born into us, like Alvin Toffler says that the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write. It will be those who cannot learn, unlearn, and learn again. That's in my book. And basically what it is like,
ooh, I like that.
We've learned, and I can tie that into like the Bible, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So when you're not conformed to this world, that's the world we've been born into. So whatever that world is, it doesn't even matter. It's not even relevant to focus on what your parents were or weren't. It's what you created, what's been created inside of you as a construct that you're continuing to live over and over again. And that's why the book is called The Wake Up Call, because it's about waking up and seeing the truth about where you've come from, where you're still programmed, and people are basically bots. Not you, Christopher, though. You are not a bot.
It's our programming. No, I was a bot.
Me too.
I was, right? And having that ability to look within and do this rather than that is powerful, is successful, is wealthy. Like self-awareness, emotional intelligence, these are soft skills that if you don't have in life, you're just spinning your gears. If you own a business, if you own a fucking business and you don't have self-awareness or emotional intelligence, you're literally just going to burn and turn your clients and your team until you go bankrupt, is really what happens fundamentally. And these soft skills that you're talking about, that you have to teach yourself. You have to be open-minded to it and be able to step in front of the mirror, because the person looking back at you is responsible for 99% of your fucking problems.
It's incredible. And that is, if if I just think like breaking the bot, like, you know, like if like it's really like crushing mediocrity, breaking the bot in us is so powerful. So listen, what we're going to do, one of our last podcasts, we had to end this. Notice, this is what a martyr or a victim would say. You know, one of the last podcasts we had to end because Christopher had to go to the dentist. And now we have to end because Christopher has to eat.
It's true.
And I'm a victim of that. Actually, the only reason that I'm actually like a winner for it, because Christopher will keep the time and I won't. So it's perfect that he has to eat. Okay.
We have our strengths.
Yes, we do. And our weaknesses. Christopher,
absolutely.
It is always a pleasure. And next time, I think we should dig deep into family of origin relationships and how it's impacting our relationships in our life. Yes?